1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hit it!
Hello, listeners, and welcome to your very first Swimfans episode of 2023. This is the start of a bold new year, bold new frontier, and I am your co-host, Josh Cloudy Water Kills Frogs Mackenzie.
I'm Craig. I'm a heterosexual now, Neeson.
I'm Alex, and I'm not afraid to explore my sexuality.
There's so many good ones you could do.
This whole fucking thing, like every line of this is hilarious to me.
Doves may remember that my birthday episode in 2022, we did a screening of all 6 episodes of Fooly Cooly. It's kind of a movie broken up episodically. So we decided to do the same thing for something, that is in the general realm of an erotic thriller, erotic horror type situation. We are doing the 2012 Jeff Haggerty directed, The Onion produced online series Sex House. You can watch all of Sex House for free on YouTube if you are so inclined to do so.
Mm-hmm. I highly recommend it. It's all in glorious 720p.
If you have not seen Sex House, this is a satirical mockumentary style situation, very much like The Real World or Jersey Shore or any like Big Brother, kind of any sort of reality show where you're putting 6 sexy singles in a house and exploiting them for your entertainment. The idea is that in the Sex House, all 6 people are expected to have as much sex as possible, and that's the whole it's the whole thing. and then America watches. So our cast of players is Jay, who's kind of just like a guy. He's like a Jersey Shore kind of guy. There's Tara, who's an ex-cheerleader, kind of like a party girl. There is Alex, our polysexual princess. There is Derek, who is the only gay man in the house. A massive oversight on the part of the producers. There is Aaron, who is the very young girl next door type. And lastly, there's Frank, who's an accountant and married with 2 children. So because this is The Onion, it does get insanely dark very quickly. Everybody moves into the Sex House. On the first night, they have a party, and Aaron and Frank end up sleeping together, which is sort of like the first major plot point. But immediately after that, things begin to go wrong in the Sex House. Some of these things include the temperature in the house is regulated by bursts of searing and insanely cold air, seemingly at random. The television plays only porn. The contestants clock a rotting smell beneath the floorboards. Derek discovers that all of the clocks are running at different times, so nobody knows what time it is.
There's no windows in the Sex House as well.
Yes, there's no windows. They are all boarded up, which they established pretty early on. So, immediately people begin to want to leave Sex House. Derek, who's like the most aware of the 6, is like, there is a strange white mold that has begun moving into the house. Their trash can't go anywhere. And it's around like the early middle when the cast, who are now visibly looking hungry and malnourished, they are not being fed inside of the Sex House. They're only given pumpernickel and bananas, and these quickly spoil. So there is a scene where the host, whose name is Host,
he first shows up in like episode 4 or something. He's not in the first 3 episodes.
Yes, he's doing his best, like Ryan Seacrest. He's doing his best. That guy from he looks. They style him quite a bit like that guy who's the host of Survivor. So he is just your generic television show host. His name is Host, and he is a sociopath who keeps trying to force these people who are starving to have sex with each other. Host begins to get increasingly deranged. He brings in a woman to teach them how to do pole dancing, but a burst of hot air causes her to fall and shatters her leg. The producers add a shit ton of frogs to combat the flies, which are around the mold and the pumpernickel and the bananas. To keep the people alive, they give them a shit ton of new bananas, which does keep them alive, but the bananas then also begin to spoil. So, the things escalate from episode to episode. Finally, we have the appearance of the intercom man, who delivers instructions over a intercom system. He begins to do things such as misting the contestants, which has sort of like an unknown effect. And at this point, the contestants, Erin, who is pregnant, all of them are entirely malnourished. They are dying. They have a plan to escape Sex House. They pretend to initiate like an orgy type situation. They say that the Sibian, their sex machine, is broken. That causes a Sibian repairman to arrive. They attack the Sibian repairman. They put them into the mold chamber to hold him hostage. And then a man in a mask comes in with like a billy club to threaten them for attacking the Sibian repairman. The masked man beats Frank halfway to death, but they defeat the masked man. And then there's a bit of a time skip in the show. They have built a society inside of the now shut down Sex House. There's a bit where the producers say Sex House is a flop. Seal up Sex House. So they seal up Sex House. There is no longer any host or any outside influence. So they build their own society inside of Sex House. Erin gives birth to her child. They have like a barley farm. Derek is dying of what appears to be malnutrition. And they begin to speak in this sort of stilted, robotic manner that is like simultaneously like old time English and like reality TV lingo.
Mm-hmm.
And
she will most certainly drama over this.
Yes. Finally, the show ends when I believe it's Jay and Alex in a confrontation it's Jay and Tara in a confrontation accidentally bump up against a bit of plywood, which falls over and it reveals to them a window to the outside world. They look at it for a moment and then choose to put the plywood back up as they can no longer relate to the outside world. There is a 10th episode, which is the classic like reunion show episode of the show, where everybody is like normal again, apparently. They all have blogs. They're all doing blogging as a
They've
career.
all gone Hollywood.
They've all gone Hollywood. Jay and Frank are making some demented script to sell to producers.
It's called The Huge Chill.
Tara has found out that the white mold has medicinal properties, so she is working on exporting white mold across the world. Alex is in love with the intercom man who like stalked her. Erin gave the baby up for adoption.
Focus on her full-time career of blogging.
Yes, to focus on blogging. Derek is straight now. Derek is now a heterosexual man.
He works for Coolio. He's a maitre d' in Coolio's hotel.
But he's also blogging.
Coolio.
It's all very irreverent, this satire of the depraved nature of American reality television to its most comical extreme. What did we think about Sex House?
I want to hear Craig first, because Craig, you haven't seen this, right?
No. I mean, I remember you speaking about it very often years ago, and I think I tried once or twice, and I only got 2 episodes in. And I was like, oh, this is like kind of a dry satire. I did not know that it escalated the way that it escalates. Mm-hmm. So this was my first time breaching past episode 2, which I was quite shocked at the places that this thing went. You know, the cloudy water kills the frogs. No, I loved this. I thought it was... I think one of the reasons why I bounced off of it when I was watching it is because it so accurately captures the generalized feeling of like disgust that I had and continue to have when kind of confronted with reality TV. I mean, thankfully I haven't had cable in something like 10 years or whatever, so I don't know if they're still making Survivors or whatever. But yeah, this particular kind of paradigm, awesome, cool, that's great.
They just brought back The Mole.
Oh, great. I mean, just like there's a general level like of wrongness that I remember experiencing, though I couldn't articulate it when I was, that young, where how deeply unnatural and deeply like evil the format was, the talking head format and the drama and the Big Brother hidden camera thing, and just I mean, I guess I erred towards some kind of conservative line here, but they're just like corrosive and destructive things. But yeah, this is a good satire. I mean, it goes really in an oblique way. It's not exactly, I don't know, the way that it kind of attacks the format, I think, is clever in the way that like a good Onion headline could have been clever back in the day. Is The Onion still a thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Didn't know that either. But yeah, I mean, it's appropriately dark. It's appropriately hard to watch at points, much like this format is appropriately hard to watch and difficult to swallow. But yeah, it's a really great dark comedy. It reminds me of like Takashi Miike's work for some reason. Yeah, it's great. I love it. Super funny, endlessly quotable, just written perfectly.
Yeah, I haven't seen this since college, so I'm guessing it was about 2012, the release year when I saw it last.
Yeah. It's 10 goddamn years old. I'm fucking turning to dust over here.
Yeah, I have a few reality TV shows I go kind of hard for. I've watched a lot of Drag Race. I've watched a lot of Project Runway. I've actually watched quite a bit of Big Brother.
Those first two are way different.
Yeah, those are like the competition reality shows.
Two of them are competition. But I also do like Big Brother. Although I've thought about it, like if I had chosen to be a Big Brother contestant, you can read no book in the Big Brother house except for the Bible.
What? And I did not know that.
So yeah, because you can't bring any entertainment because you have to interact with the guests and do betrayals and alliances and things.
Right.
And the only game you can play is chess. So those are your only two like recreations that aren't like backstabbing people.
Just like Sex House, you can watch porn or play Settlers of Catan.
Yes.
It's like Branch Davidian shit. That's awful.
So, I did, I have had like a Big Brother phase and whatever, but like this really is such a good send up of like the degeneracy of the genre, because it is grim. It's a lot darker than I remember, or maybe I just had a sicker sense of humor 10 years ago. But yeah, like there was parts that were harder to watch this time. But when it does get absurd, especially in the late bit of it, it's really when it hits its stride. Mm-hmm. I love when the cloudy drink comes out. They don't reveal what it is. They've just been drugging them for an episode.
And the reveal of that is so elegant because they've just gone through misery. And you fire up this next episode and they're all like, man, we love it here. And they're like playing the sex swing. They're like, they're all like super happy, but they're clearly just like lithiumed up or something.
they're being microdosed with like I don't know.
I love how they introduce them in like the interview segments, and they're all holding the bottle and they're all like cradling the bottle like a small child and stuff.
It does get like obsidian, like everything with Frank is pretty dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Frank's a piece of shit, and and obviously the show knows that. But like just Frank begging everybody to call him a good person is like funny in a pathetic way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly, if I'm being honest, it's less funny than I remember it being. But like the parts that made me laugh still hold up, and it's still like an excellent like send off of this completely degenerate form of entertainment.
This is just class A entertainment for me. I kind of watched it randomly I was following The Onion at the time, and they announced like this whole new initiative. Later on, I found out that it was like the most money The Onion was ever given at any point in time was like the early 2010s. Because I think investors saw that they have like a huge digital following in like the late 2000s and the early 2010s. Like The Onion was everywhere. The AV Club was like one of the go-to places for like pop culture stuff, and we're building this whole empire. So they got like, I don't know if it was like VC funding or something, but they just got like a buttload of money to like explore videos. So they made this, and they made a few other shows as well. But the only other one I've ever seen is called Porkin' Across America, which is a similar kind of seems like a reality show until it just kind of gets off the rails. But it's I'm gonna spoil Porkin' Across America. It's about a guy who's actually one of like the Onion News regular people. He's like hitting every barbecue stand on this like road trip, but as he's doing it, he's slowly like turning into a pig, and so it gets really, really like body horror with it. By the end, like he needed surgery, so he got like pig organs, and like needs a skin graft, so he gets like pig skin grafts, and then gets a nose fused to his face in a explosion, and all his hair is burned off, and he's just covered in scars. He looks disgusting. That one's good too. Sorry to have spoiled it, but Sex House is my favorite though, because I love it starts off as like a pretty like I can totally understand why Craig, you fell off of it after 2 episodes. And I'm actually looking at the playlist of it now, and it looks like most people did fall off after episode 2, because like the view counts go down, not like gradually, but like
right.
It's like episode 1, 34 million, episode 2, 33 million, episode 3, 7 million.
Right.
Precipitously.
Right. Because if you just watch those first 2 episodes, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. It's a reality show parody. Like, even like the jokes in episode 1 are pretty like standard making fun of reality TV thing. Like Alex kisses Tara, and then she's like, I hate Tara in her immediate interview segment. Like, it's all standard. But yeah, by the time you get to episode 5, which is called Banana Sex Olympics, that's the one where in order to get the prenatal vitamins that her baby needs, Erin has to drink from a bucket of regurgitated bananas. And it just gets darker. Like, by that point, it's just so like deranged and like, yeah, like you were saying, Josh, like legitimately kind of upsetting at certain points. I love that it always has the reality TV show music in the background. I think that really softens the blow of a lot of the darkness of the show. Until episode 9, where they lose it, because that's after the network has shut down the show, which I think is like a really great formalist choice, is stripping the music away. But yeah, I love this. Huge fan. I recommend this to basically everyone I know.
Yeah, I love where the artifice meets reality. Like in that same episode 9, Frank is sort of catching up the viewer on what's gone down since they've formed their micro society inside of the sealed sex house. And Frank talks about the tenuous peace between the cast and the camera. Because many cameramen have also been abandoned in the sealed sex house by the producers. So, Frank says that they do not speak to the cameramen, and the cameramen do not speak to them. It is a tenuous peace.
Because, I mean, you have to, like, having made that choice, like Alex said, you have to kind of explain why the cameramen are still present. Mm-hmm. So there's, like, this whole other, like, tribe that's happening, right? Like, they've also been abandoned, and they're simply filling out their function, even after the thing is ended, which is so deeply charming.
Which is also, they do a great job of kind of revealing them as well. They're not, like, expanded on in any sort of meaningful way, but it's once the network unleashes the goon, which is the guy with the mask in the club, to to go in and get the Sibian repairman back. Which, by the way, everything about like the way they talk, just because everything in the sex house is like, it's like, oh yes, the Sibian repairman, or like incoming sex when they get like a message from the network. Like,
Yeah, because it's all campy and explicitly, overtly sexual because it's supposed to be 6 sexy singles. In this
Right.
house.
Yeah.
And then it gets weird, and it's beautiful because it gets weirdly codified when language has broken down and they've been in the house for 14 Christs, which is an undefined period of time that they've established.
What is a Christ anyway?
I have no idea.
No, I don't think we're supposed to know.
No, I was just wondering where the word came from. I didn't know if there was like a game feature that was called a Christ that I missed earlier. Or what.
I think it's purely post-apocalyptic. I really do. I mean, like, the baby is an infant now, so we can presume at least like 9 months have passed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been, what was it? It's been like 16 crisps, but we haven't eaten since the 4th crisp.
Yeah. No, Aaron says no protein.
Yeah.
No protein.
Since Christ 4.
Oh, and the baby isn't retaining any fluid, so he hasn't peed.
Yeah.
Alex is doing things such as being on mold abatement duty, where she has to plug up holes in the mold room to prevent the spores from escaping.
I love when they first put the like their trash in that room. They're like, it's too hot to sleep in there anyway.
Yeah, no, I love that as well, Craig. Like how this demented is the only word for it. This deranged reality show parlance becomes like codified when they're deciding at the very end that they have to eat Tara's frogs because they need protein.
Right.
And Jay holding Tara's shoulder, like in all seriousness, is just like, it's the sexy thing to do. like almost in like a dogtooth manner, the word sex has been completely stripped of meaning and given a new one.
Completely.
That's a great comparison.
They've been bombarded by this very idiosyncratic, dehumanized language, and now they're using it in their survival roundtable rituals, which now actually have the consequence of like life and death. The consuming of the frogs or the not consuming the frogs. Oh man. Sorry. My favorite line that's kind of born out of that is, I've not tried my hand at amphibian husbandry, but I'm willing to, I'm willing to learn as he cultivates his barley. What does he call it? Barley something.
It's like a barley crop that he's growing.
Yeah, and he keeps speaking about the blight that's attacking that's attacking it. I mean, they're really struggling.
Yeah, he's like a Skyrim farmer.
Completely. I mean, you have this like RPG fantasy element where like just everything is going wrong. And there are actual factions. There are actual like decisions being made. A kind of deep madness has pervaded like everyone's mind. Wonderful.
I really love the line, today's sexy challenge is to do 75 jumping jacks to boost our vitamin D levels so that we don't get rickets.
The only way they can talk about tasks now is to call them challenges. Reality television is evil. I really love, even in the first couple episodes, my favorite visual gags are how fucking shitty Sex House is.
Right. I love when they immediately go in and there's just all this exposed, like pipes and like steel, like radiators and stuff, because you kind of get the reality show loft thing, but then there's this really hideous what should be behind the walls is sort of in front of it. Yeah.
Right. It accurately captures that aesthetic of the time, and the way that the people enter the house. Bro, this space is sick.
Check out this place.
And he opens up the cupboard and all the alcohol has been taped over in blue painter's tape where the logo is.
Mm-hmm. I took a 2-day mixology class in high school, and I know that we got everything we need.
I mean, it's dark, and I think the thing that propels the first two episodes that kind of gets it off the ground is, the Tombstone Pizza contest winner Frank. Obviously being like this undesirable dad-like figure, ends up being like a sexual predator.
Yeah.
And then has sex with the fake therapist. He's the only one that has sex, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, well,
Well,
sex was-
Aaron does. but,
Aaron, right? Yeah.
he has sex twice though.
Oh,
Yeah, the sex counter hits 2, and
It's-
both times involve Frank.
I love the sex counter. It's 0001, as if they're going to get into the thousands.
Structurally, I also appreciate the Arrested Development format where there's like, on next week's episode.
Oh, yeah.
And it's things that they're like little mini gags. They don't actually carry over into the next episode, but Frank gets the fake therapist pregnant, and then the bro is like, dude, you could pull it out. Like just exasperated.
I think this time through, Frank definitely was the most compelling character to me because of his just like weakness and his cowardice and his selfishness. Like the scene where I think is it the first time they bring in the Sibian repairman and they leave the door open and he makes a run for it.
Yeah,
Like completely abandons everyone else.
After just having made a speech earlier about like, I'm gonna be with you to raise this baby,
Right.
just makes a run for it on his own. I think like in a lot of respects, him being the contest winner, from eating Tombstone pizza, which is so fucking God, that brings back really vivid memories of the worst pizza.
Yeah.
Eaten at the worst hours of the night. This viewer. Like in a certain sense, like the demographic in some way for this thing where like, he's married with children, but gets to like live out his like, gets to watch his gross little, censored, debauched little television program. But like when he's in it, he's a monster. He's like a real like hardcore like malefactor. Like he's just rotten.
And he's such an American figure too, because he's like, please tell me I'm good.
Yeah. His
he's
constant
like,
desperation to be seen as like a good person and him not being able to reconcile it with his actions, I think is really great.
I mean, the therapist being like, do you remember our wedding night?
Right.
And, that was the happiest night of my life. And, I will always love you. And he's like, you will? Just like absolutely desperate for, validation, for, being absolved. Sorry, this is fast forwarding to the reunion episode in 10 where, at a certain point we thought it was purgatory and we had to expiate our sins in order to escape.
I put that in my notes.
Just one of the, because like, they don't meaningfully address like all of the just insane shit that happened in the reunion episode, but there's that one moment where just like, at one point we thought it was purgatory, but otherwise it was totally normal.
Yeah, that was so funny because the follow up to that line is Aaron was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot we did that." She forgot the purgatory phase of Sex House.
I love after they purge all of the cloudy drink from their body. There's like a line that's like, "We don't know how long we were under for. All those days are gone to us."
Yeah, I guess in like a character sense, I guess Frank is probably the most compelling because he's the only one that like does like Jay and Tara and Alex are joke characters. I suppose Aaron has. None of them have arcs per se. None of them grow or change. But like Aaron and Frank are the ones who have things happen to them.
Yeah.
like, because Tara just gets like fully frog pilled, and Jay becomes an Elder Scrolls crop farmer, and you know, I mean, I think Alex is consistently the funniest because her whole bit, if you've not seen it, is that she is the only one who wants to have sex in the entire house. Yeah. So she's trying to have sex with all of the other contestants. She is hitting on Host. She actually loves Host.
Derek's homosexuality is such a turn on.
Yeah, she's like just a completely like depraved individual, but like she's probably consistently the funniest because she's the drama, right? She's the one. Yeah. She's the character who does the reality show drama. So she'll do one thing on screen, and then her confessional, like Alex said, she'll be like, "Oh, Tara's such a bitch. I hate her."
That actress kills it.
Yeah. She's like the ideal subject, but she can't like fulfill her duty. You know.
She's sticking to the plan the longest. There's like different degrees of them. Like they all kind of like pop out of their like, oh, we're in danger thing, and she does it last. Derek does it almost immediately.
Yeah, like by episode 2, Derek and Aaron are done with Sex House. Yeah. But Alex is in it till like episode 5.
I think the end of episode 2 is they're playing Truth or Dare, and then they just get an incoming sext, and it's like, all right, time for some heavy petting in the Sex House lounge. It's like the most awkward moment, like at the most awkward time, and the lights just go down and music comes up, and and then Derek's like, I really want to leave the Sex House.
Yeah, I can't say enough about how fun the interior design is because like, have either of you ever seen Big Brother?
Yeah.
A long time ago.
So, like, I mean, obviously, you know, it's referencing things, you know, as far back as, like, the real world or whatever. But I think in terms of architecture, it's very much drawing on Big Brother because Big Brother also has this extreme cheapness to the house where it's like, it's not even pretending. Like, I feel like the real world had this facade where you could almost believe it's like a house. Big Brother is so visibly chintzy that like it's so clearly built on a soundstage, and they really bring that into this. I think it's in the first episode. Derek tries to open a cabinet and the handle just comes off in his hand. I just love that you get those little hints early on that the house is decomposing with them inside of it.
Yeah, there's 2 great moments in the first episode. It's there's like a bowl on like the main table in the living room that has bananas in it, but the bowl is like clearly not designed to actually work so it just keeps falling over because it's like a cone shape. It's like a really like if you were going to make a bowl, why would you ever make it in this shape?
Yeah,
because nothing, if anything, is leaning against the side of a bowl, and it's a bowl. It's just going to fall over. And then there's a scene where like Jay walks into the kitchen and like one of the light bulbs is just like I don't know, like freaking out, like pulsing, and he's like tapping it, like what the fuck is this? All great foreshadowing.
Yeah, I think that's one of maybe the best tools this series uses is is like its particularly obsidian form of foreshadowing. Sorry, the episode where the pole dance instructor and then that like disgusting man come and like they split them up based on gender. So the guy just verbally berates the other men for not like getting laid more often, and at the same time, you know, they haven't had any food or water in what seems like weeks, like because they just keep opening the cabinets and it's just more vodka. So there's only vodka and then rotten pumpernickel and bananas. So this like comedian who's like some sort of like Adam Carolla type figure is like, why aren't you out there getting more pussy?
Yeah, this house is ripe with pussy, and rule number 1, always, it's like always fuck the pussy.
Yeah, just like vile, like early Comedy Central shit, and like they're visibly malnourished and dying. And then you know the girls are going to learn how to pole dance, and you know, like we said, the instructor gets hit with a burst of searing hot air and falls and shatters her leg. And there's this great like God, I don't even know how to phrase it. It's like it's almost like Black Lodgy. It's almost like that The Prisoner. It's like these men completely in black, like stagehands, come out and abduct this woman who's just broken her leg, just like spirit her away.
Yeah. Her leg is broken to the point where like a bone is sticking out of her leg as well. And then Alex tries to make a move on her, and she's like, "You're so hot when you're injured," or something.
Such a nightmare.
I think it's host and the therapist when things start to go haywire for them. Where they look at a camera and they cross their arms in an X,
Yes.
indicating some sort of like I don't know,
Broken
escape.
arrow.
It's going off script. We got to get out of here. Frank
When things go wrong in the Truman Show, it's
oh, exactly.
I fucking love the fake therapist because they're I think this is like episode 5 or 6. They present hosts and the producers with like a list of demands, which include like drinking water, food, essentials to live. And host is like, no, you can't have any of that. Anyway, production has seen it fit to give you thousands of frogs to combat the fly problem, and you can see the therapist. There's
a line from Derek where he's like, "We didn't actually get anything we wanted, but I was so hungry that I didn't notice."
The fake therapist has advice like she's saying to Aaron, like, if you want to improve your baby's health, you should just have more sex.
Yeah.
And writes her like a fake prescription on like a toy prescription book. And she's dressed like in this like sexy librarian look with like thigh high stockings and just
the fake therapist's delivery of like, my prescription for you is to have sex with someone tonight is like the perfect also like reality show cadence to the way she says it.
Yes, because so many times they'll have you see this where it's like they'll have like some sort of person who knows something, right? Like some sort of expert in something, and they'll give them like the perfect advice that would further this deranged television program. And they always say it in that very phony way because they're actors, and it rocks. She really doesn't know that.
Yeah, it's not only what's being said, it's how it's being said. It's deeply like anti-human. It's like how every like local news reporter sounds exactly the same.
Yeah.
So do all these like reality TV show creeps. Her for entertainment purposes only on the bottom of her prescriptions, her solution, of course, being sex, which is what they desperately want out of them. Yeah, the kind of badgering for sex, I think, is really fascinating. I mean, that's kind of like the whole, I mean, aside from like doing a drama, which they kind of codify there in episode 9, like having sex is the most important part of these shows, right? Of like who's fucking who, and how scandalous it is for like who X is fucking Y and not Z or whatever. I mean, this movie opens up with a right hook. It's like the old disgusting guy with a family has sex with the 18-year-old and gets her pregnant. Yeah, right. Like it immediately takes that. Kind of like it's like a deliverable, right? It's like a product that the format demands is sex, and also counting that deliverable, itemizing it, and this very intelligently opens up with like the most grotesque formulation of it. The mild-mannered, soft-spoken 18-year-old, has alcohol for the first time or whatever. It's awful, right? It's that kind of darkness where I think a lot of the Onion's like most successful work kind of resides at.
Because it's like explicitly that quiet part said loud. Like if you're on I don't know, a Big Brother, not to pick on Big Brother too much, just haven't seen any of these other ones. But if you're like, what the producers are not saying, but saying is like, have more sex, because, there is no you outside of Sex House. There is no you that has to go exist in the world, right? So whatever general depravity we can do for the American viewing public, we demand it. And that's, completely perfectly personified in a host who is a Ryan Seacrest style psychopath just screaming, have more sex. and we may give you food and water.
Right. But isn't that just capital though? Like exploit yourselves and we'll reward you. And also we hold all the cards and no, we won't cave. But God forbid if the Sibian breaks down, we'll fix it immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
But we will give you frogs and fake therapists and cloudy drink, and that's what we'll do instead of having your needs met.
When they're like trying to avoid the cameramen and the cameras, and they're plotting kidnapping the Sibian mechanic. There's a moment where Frank speaks about the orgy that they're planning later and how he's afraid to die in it. His deep apprehension of like, know that I did it. I tried my best, but I died.
It's so good to just swap out the word like coup for orgy.
Over orgy, yeah.
And then they accidentally murder the poor like Italian Sibian fixer.
Sibian repairman. Release the Sibian repairman.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Your murderer's Sex House. You killed him.
The intercom guy is so fucking funny because he speaks in like a 1984 style, like calming, anti-human sort of authoritative way.
Well, it's so great how they introduce him too, because they get the cloudy drink in the host's eyes, and he's immediately blinded by it, and he's kicking and screaming, dragged out, saying, "You've ruined me! You've ruined me! Like I'll get you for this or whatever." And then you just hear this like low fidelity tone or something, like this beep that just sounds like it comes from like an Apple II or something. And then his voice, which is just inhuman and like faux calming at the same time, that where he's introduced with the line, "Breathe normally, prepare for mist."
Which is also our edict to you, listener, every time you hit play on Swimfans. It's his lines are so funny. Because just to hear that voice say something like "release the Sibian repairman."
It's all just so ludicrous. Everything is just horrific and so sexually charged. Like while they're trying to break out of the sex house, Frank takes the Sibian, but takes off the dildo part and puts like a chisel in it because they're trying to use the Sibian repairman's tools to break out, and he's like trying to like jackhammer with it.
I love the line. I forget who delivers it. It's like, "There's something behind the wall and it's tougher than steel."
Oh, it's Alex, I think.
I think so.
And the kind of slow, as Alex kind of put it, they very intelligently put the the moldy pumpernickel bread in the warmest room of the house, and it slowly begins.
The mold
to
is hysterical.
Take over, right? Like, that room just slowly becomes unlivable, and the Sibian repairman dies after like half an hour.
Yeah, the mold is incredibly fast moving.
He's like chained up, like he's in a Turkish prison. Like
he's in Midnight Express or some shit. But like the look on his face too is like so horrifying. Like they basically put him in like horror movie makeup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining.
Yeah,
it's white.
yeah, totally. Yeah, he's got those like huge bags under his eyes.
Just look of like pure horror on his face.
Also, sorry, just the item of a Sibian is just a
Oh,
deranged item. It's like an evil item.
I think one of them calls it a torture machine.
Yeah, it's like it shouldn't exist, whatever that is.
One of the best lines about because I think sorry, what's the bro's name again?
Jay.
Jay.
Yeah. Many of them don't know what a Sibian is, but then Jay says, "Oh, y'all don't know what a Sibian is? Like, I beat it to these videos all the time," and it's like, "Oh, right. Like, this isn't like a tool for like female pleasure. This is like a strictly like a pornographic device
Right.
to be watched. Right? It's for the robot dick to fuck the girl."
Howard Stern had one.
Right,
That's why I
exactly.
know what it is.
Exactly. It's for this bizarre entertainment thing, and it doesn't have anything to do with. I mean, but of course, Alex buys into it right away, right? She's like, "Oh hell yeah!" She like gets right on top of it, you know.
Yeah, because she's like performatively horny.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a great way of putting it. She's performing horny. She's actually
Yeah.
dying inside.
Yeah.
She doesn't like her one-sided relationship with host where she's like like I think we're dating, like the host was nice to me today.
Which is like this. I mean, essentially like some kind of cargo cult, like, you know, waiting for the airdrop, and then like deifying the person that kind of like, provides you with the goods. It's amazing. I mean, Alex has like Stockholm syndrome. There's something like deeply clever about that.
Well, she very much believes in the mission of the show.
Right.
Not fully getting that she's being exploited or refusing to admit it, even if she might actually realize it. This is great.
Yeah, and
That's how employment works too.
Jay is similarly on board until, I mean, yeah, he's like the last to fall off, or one of the last to fall off.
Well, he and Tara have that, like they're, what I think it's like episode.
They call it
4.
they call it a showmance.
But
They have a showmance.
there's the episode where they're like taking sexy photos, and no one's into it, and it's really forced. And there's a great line where Jay's like, "All right, so Tara and I snuck off to have sex. Just figured we get get it over with." And then the host is there, and he's like, "Oh, this is great. We knew you two would have sex." And then he kind of just leaves. And then there's like the interview with Jay, and he's like, "You know, we were thinking, was there a casting person that put us put us both in here because they knew we would fuck? That's like really messed up." And then they don't have sex, and they cap off the conversation with like a very chaste hug. I love Sex House. This is so good.
I think that's all of my notes. I love how evil host is. You know,
Yeah.
he's the avatar of the producers and the public watching. So he's completely venal and disgusting. But at the same time, completely bland, and like he's like, you know me, like implying that he's like a Z-list celebrity they should know. It rocks.
Yeah, I think one of the strengths of this whole thing is that it doesn't forsake any layer of it. It doesn't, land squarely on this fact of, social experiment where we've cast people specifically, even though it's, at least in Derek's case, deliriously miscast. I'm not gonna fuck any of you. I'm a homosexual. Oh, you think you're better than us? Like, you think you're too good?
You two aren't gay, and I'm not attracted to women.
Yeah, and Alex was like, "Oh, you're."
So the degeneracy, like it's almost like horizontal in a way. There's like, it's them, it's the house, it's the format, it's the camera people, it's the weird dude with the club. It's everything.
It's host. It's who's watching. You know, like who would be watching Sex House?
Completely. I mean, it's the whole. It's the audience at the end that's clapping for the reunion.
Yeah.
The pervert who's, you know, we find out on stage that he found Alex's address from her W-4 and stalked her. Voice.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's so reality television as well, because all of the atrocities are forgotten, right? Everybody's now like pretty and smiling and launching their blogging careers, and it's like whatever shitty thing you did to people in front of millions of Americans, or you know, whatever shitty thing you were forced into by producers to do to other people, it's like doesn't matter, because we're blogging, we're selling the worst scripts you've ever heard of to Hollywood. You know, host is pretending like he likes them. It's it's every reunion special I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it really uses its format exceptionally well in like its episodicness, and then it's like of course there'd be a reunion at the end of it because it's a reality show, but I still think it adds up to a movie, even though it has distinct episodes, each with their own kind of mini arcs. It still feels like a movie to me. It's one presented in an interesting way.
Yeah, completely. It's a little short film. Yeah. Completely.
It's probably like 70 minutes long total. That's a feature film. 45 minutes is the cutoff for a feature film, so
it makes it.
Yeah. Count
retroactively nominate Sex House for awards in 2012.
Oh man, it was probably the best movie that came out that year.
I give this 4 stars.
5.
4 for me.
No complaints. I love it. I love the show so goddamn much. I quote it constantly. I think about it constantly.
I found I mean, obviously, because you used that screen cap of Alex for some of your social media avatars, but whenever it would do that Alex confessional where she's in the outfit in that screenshot, it was like a jarring moment because I associate that image more now with you than with Sex House.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's the show from Alex's avatar.
Yeah.
What are we doing next week? Do we know whose pick it is?
Doesn't it go Alex, Josh, Craig? Or does it go
yes, because you did Cook, Thief, Wife, Lover.
No. Right. Okay, I don't know what it is. Come back next week to find out.
Oh, one last line I really loved from Sex House. If it's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
I think it's at the end of an episode. Derek says, "To call this place evil implies a clarity of purpose that I do not want to attribute to any human or like anyone involved." Really sealing the Vincenzo Natali-esque escalation of events.
I think that's episode 7, because I think that's the end of the cloudy drink episode.
I'd believe it to be closer to the end. Yeah. Similar to the Cube. Was it designed like this, or did it become this?
Yeah.
Honestly, it has Cube vibes to it.
It does.
Because like Sex House, similar to the Cube and Vincenzo Natali's Cube, exists out of geography. Mm-hmm. You never, except for the reunion special, you never leave. Right, so you don't know if it's inside of a studio, if it's inside of a studio, inside of a studio, if it's in the center of the earth. You would truly have no way of knowing.
There's a line from Derek. It's like, I think we might be on a ship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all free on YouTube if you want to watch Sex House.
You should. I highly recommend you watch Sex House. It's not that long. It's really funny. There's a bunch of funny stuff we didn't even talk about.
Oh, Happy New Year, listener. This is, we hope you had a nice New Year. We hope you had a nice holiday season. I like that that's like Auld Lang Syne through like a dying gramophone, but also through a telephone.
Playing through like when you tie 2 cups together and talk through them.
You can find the show wherever you get your podcasts. So that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. Please leave us a rating. Please leave us a review. That's your mission for 2023 is to do so. You can also find the show on all of your social medias at Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. User Swimfans Pod, and we have a YouTube channel where these episodes are now going up on. If you like to watch things on YouTube or listen to things on YouTube. And for myself, you can find me online at user Amons, AMONNS. Alex.
Now's the time for little J to finally get soaked. You can follow me online at Twitter user Diatron5 and on Letterboxd Diatron. Craig?
Find me at Craig Neeson on Instagram and Letterboxd and www.craigneeson.com.
What's taking us out?
I don't know. We'll see.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.